Welcome to Between Two Clinicians, the podcast that gives you a backstage pass into the mind of two therapists. I'm Talia.
I'm Adam Luke. We've spent years helping others navigate the complexities of their minds and relationships.
In this podcast, we're flipping the script, and we're sharing our own unfiltered insights. No topic is off limits, and no issue too taboo. We're ready to tackle the tough stuff with honesty and empathy. Let's dive in. Today's episode, which is, I don't know why, still happening in today's society, being ghosted or being breadcrumbed. The landscape of dating has changed quite a bit in the last 10 to 20 years, I would say. And with the advent of social media and texting and dating apps, and the gamification of how we meet people, it has become more normalized for people to ghost or for people to kind of keep you on the line, i.e. breadcrumbing you. So today's episode is episode 61, Ghosting, Breadcrumbing, and Modern Heartbreak, Grieving What Never Was or May Never Have Had a Chance to come to fruition. And a lot of the times I've worked with clients on this, they are more upset or just as upset when it was like a failed talking stage is also what it's known as, because there's this grief without any closure, but closure is a myth that we've done an entire episode on that. And it doesn't always require two people. Their non-communication or lack of response, if it's the ghosting side of things, that tells you everything that you need to know, even if you'd like it to be more verbalized, or you'd like a closure note that you can go back and reference the next time you think about texting them or calling them. If somebody
next time something blows up.
Yes, right. That's like there for a good time call. If they ghost or if they unmatch, like I told you today, I was talking to this guy and he'd asked about cooking or whatever else. And I was like, yeah, I'm in the season of my life where I want someone to cook for me, point blank. I worded it probably more like flirtatiously than that. And I woke up this morning and I was like, man, he unmatched me. Honestly, I'd rather that than have to lie and be like, oh yeah, I love cooking and baking. I don't know. If I have to, I will. Like, I enjoy it for myself.
Out of necessity, yes.
Yeah, but I would rather come home to a home-cooked meal. And I'm like, I want to be cared for. I don't want to do the caring for. He was older, so he might have been in the like, I want the traditional wife. Go find it elsewhere. Like, good for you, and thank you for letting me know. That is an example where I wouldn't say it's like ghosting necessarily. It's just more like unmatching.
Speed dating, right?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Like that's actually probably exactly what you needed, because there are plenty of other people that would have been like, oh, well, maybe I can change her, right? Like you get 3 or 4 dates in, and then it's like, oh, this thing I previously said I was okay with, I'm no longer okay with.
I'm actually not. Yeah. Yes. That's the one that
my dating clients are like losing their minds over is the I'm not ready for something serious right now. Why are you on a dating app? Like, why are you matching with people if you aren't looking for anything serious?
And if they have it on their profile that they are, but then it comes out that they're not, even more so, why? So I think, so to define it before we dive in, and then I have a story about that too. It actually just came to fruition recently. Very funny. The exact topic that you just talked about. Ghosting, I would venture more so, is once you've already talked to someone, probably gone on an actual date or had some kind of like FaceTime connection, something, and then you stop replying entirely, like a ghost, like you just die off from their storyline. That's more ghosting. Like that is how I would define it. And then breadcrumbing is when you rely on intermittent positive reinforcement, which is the strong schedule, giving them just enough to keep interested, but not too much that it becomes consistent. And it is, again, the strongest reinforcement schedule. Breadcrumbing is settling, what is the phrase, like settling for crumbs and calling it a full meal.
Yeah.
In practice, if you are only wanting that thrill, then fine, like be with somebody who's breadcrumbing you. But if you're in the season of, I want a full meal, maybe if I don't want something serious, I'll tolerate breadcrumbing or not having kids. If I do want that, why would I settle for?
Great question.
So that is something to ask yourself. If you are settling for, not going for, and you're like, look, great, you don't want anything serious, I don't want anything serious, that's allowed. Just be honest about that.
Wonderful.
Don't lead people on.
I'm going to just throw this out here.
Yeah,
I've never seen it actually work long term. I'm just going to give you the clinical behind the scenes.
let's
I have
see why.
sat
Do
with
tell, Adam.
hundreds, if not thousands of people who have told me,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, I'm just looking for casual." And I have yet to have the experience where someone in that dyad didn't start having feelings and wanting it to be something more.
Not so casual after. I am guilty many years ago of being under the pretense before I started studying the way men think and women think differently, which after going through what I have recently gone through now, I'm kind of resentful towards that mentor. That's a whole other thing. But the
Mm,
principle remains many years ago, I was under the impression that more so like certain types of guys or guys
yeah.
wanted to keep it more casual, and if there wasn't that felt sense of pressure from the beginning that it could evolve over
Mm,
time, so kind of a blend of like I'm
yeah.
not needing this to be something serious, but if it turned into it I'd be okay with it, like that was more the camp I
Yeah.
was in, a little bit more honest, and experienced incredible heartbreak and pain because
Mm,
I for months was under a false pretense of what was going on with the person that I thought I was dating. And then one night we were hanging out and it was a lot of, I guess like melancholy from his end of things, I would say. Like that was the vibe I was getting.
okay.
And it was like, I never want to be married again. I never want to find love. I never wanted this. And I was like, I was just laying there. I'm like, well, I don't think we're on the same page and I'm not going through this again. And then, okay. And so I like, we had like wine with dinner that night, so I wasn't going to be driving, so I slept, and then the next morning I woke up, went to work, the usual plan, and I later messaged and I was like, we have to talk, like we have to address what you shared
Mm,
last night, because I, not saying that I want to get married to you, but I was under
yeah.
the pretense if something more serious unfolded from dating we would both be open to it, and now you're sharing, rightfully so, thank you for being honest, that's not what you're looking for or open to. I can't let this continue. It was a good conversation. He heard me out. There was kind of a repair. A long story short, we ended up getting
Mm,
back together, which was a terrible idea for many reasons. The underpinnings I will spare the listeners if we can do another episode later if anybody's curious. But was had it been with a person who was more honest, that would have been like just leaving it there
mhm.
after, hey, I filtered, we're not looking for the same thing. But he had brought up, like, well, you said you weren't looking for something serious in the beginning. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, I thought that's what guys needed to hear to bait them into continuing to date you, to like impress them, for them to be like, oh, now I want to be with her. Right. And this was way younger, like over 10 years ago or something. So there is something to be said for strategically, to your point, it's not going to work long term if especially the person's not honest from the beginning, or they're
Yeah.
using it as like a no, I'm fine, like the cool girl, chill girl, like I'm fine with whatever till you're not, or the chill guy
Exactly.
who is like raging anxious attachment but is listening to all these red pill podcasts and comes across like a douche in the beginning, and then it's a huge softy
Yup.
insecure, I rely so heavily on external validation, and you're like, oh, like a lot of women I know are in the season of I don't want something serious because men are incompetent, is what the summary would be.
Ooh boy.
Like it's almost the rise of like the retaliation of like how we felt used as women years ago, for like, you say you want something serious, you just use us for things. It's like, well, how do you probably don't like how that feels. We're just going to use,
Exactly.
right? Like use for parts, like, oh, this is nice and you have money for a date and this and that and it's kind of good in bed, cool, not that that's the right thing to do necessarily, but it is almost
Talia is not advocating for this pyramid
just
of dating, but this pyramid does apply.
I'm highlighting what I've been told by some of the single women that am friends with in various stages of life,
True.
especially post
True.
menopause. They're like, I'm not doing shit for a man ever again. He can do it for me, or I'm going to be single and happy with my girlfriends.
Mm,
So, ghosting wise, I have a story because
ooh.
this person
Do
I
share.
went on a date with a long time ago, as like a popped up on a people you may know on an app,
Serious.
and I was like, and requested to add me, and I was like, is this the guy? It was like over 6 years ago, and I texted him because I still had his number, and I messaged him and I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. He was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this guy. And I was like, hey I thought I still had your number saved. And he was like, wait, I might read it. It was recent. It happened like last week. He said, okay, so the last messages that we exchanged before the ghosting or the whatever
Mm,
pause was like, I'm not sure if I'm ready for dating. Just been going through some stuff. I know it's not what you wanted to hear, but I wouldn't be 100%. I don't want that. I'm not really sure what else to say. I don't want to lead you on and not commit. You deserve more than that. Fucking obviously. Like, thank you. And I said, I sense the shift. I have a few questions. When did you realize this? Why would you be on a dating app? And why pursue me, assuming you knew you weren't ready to date? Not, and it wasn't me as Talia. It was like, why pursue a person?
yeah.
I realized it like 3 days ago. I enjoyed the idea of dating and I had a lot of fun because we went on a couple dates, like 2 or 3 days.
Mm,
But just as I said, the commitment is what got in the way and I didn't want to drag you
the
along.
commitment.
And I
So
mean,
just me being consistent.
this is avoidant attachment at play. I mean, your personality, you're very
Mm,
attractive, your drive. There are so many things that I like. And I said, I know why you pursued me in terms of the qualities. Like, I appreciate that. I meant more so, why would you bother to court someone and get their hopes up if you knew you were going to do this? I was very clear asking you before our first date what you were looking for. You said you were looking to settle down and that you were picky, paraphrasing, not looking to hook up anymore. So it would have been more respectful and mature to tell me the truth from the beginning. So I wasn't led on. Anyway, thanks for your ultimate honesty. I hope you can work through your commitment issues with your therapist before you date again. That wasn't a dig. He had shared that's what he was working on, to be clear. That would have been very
mm,
rude if I said that in an assumptive way. Then 6 or 7 months later, I get a message, already in a new relationship. I was at this point. I know it's random, but I just wanted to see how you've been. Kind of just wanted to say sorry for the bad timing. I'm back at work and life's finally normal again. I don't even know why I'm sending this. Shot in the dark. Hope all is well. I just wanted to get that off my chest. And I'm like, thanks. Like, I didn't need to know this. And I was dating somebody else, so I never replied.
mm,
Fast forward 6+ whatever years later,
yeah.
I said, I knew I still had your number. I just saw you try to add me on whatever. And he was like, I was curious. It was the Talia from years ago. I only had your first name saved. And he was like, you like really left an impact on me back then. I was hoping it was you and this and that. And I was like, okay, then plan a date.
Mm,
Plan a date. Never did. I'm like, clearly you haven't worked on your attachment stuff in the last 6 years with your therapist. If I literally, the amount of times where guys are like, I'm super interested. I'm like, great, buddy, ball's in your court. And they're like, I think I'm going to take my ball and go home.
uh,
It's again, it's like this mix of
it's
breadcrumbing,
so
ghosting, but it's
painful.
like, I don't think they're used to, and this might, please correct me if I am wrong. Um, I don't think they're used to women being assertive or like go getter. This one was an exception because he knew that's how I
Hmm.
was. But there are times where, in my perception, I'm willing to be stand corrected. There's an ideal of what people want in a dating
Hmm.
relationship. And sometimes oh my God, but she's so hot, he's so hot, like other factors almost eclipse it.
Hmm.
But that isn't, like, you can't deny it, right? Like, somebody could
Yeah.
make great money, have a great schedule, but be a raging alcoholic. That's not going to work.
Hmm.
So if there are deal breakers from the beginning, I think the ghosting is more likely, or like the kind of the slow ghost, the like petering out. And it's happened with, again, a few guys recently. They're like, hey, and I'm like, don't hey stranger me. Don't do that. Because the reason this ended is because you listed all of these amazing traits and this and that, but you're
Yeah.
just not looking to commit because, rightfully so, you think I deserve the moon and the stars, which thank you, and you're not willing to give it to me. So get out of my solar system. Like, don't come back here being like, I know you still deserve all these things, but are you just like, would you be willing to settle for like one star, right? Like, I like the plastic
It's
stars.
not like, and it's not even that. It's like a limited time offer. I would like to come in, hit it, quit it, and then move on. Please grab
Yeah,
your phones as
yeah,
these offers do expire. And it's like, what is the rush
yeah,
to go get to this?
yeah,
But it also highlights, and unfortunately, I think when we look at the dating pool right now, you
yeah,
have just like a bunch of floundering Peter Pan style
yep,
individuals. And
yep,
what's it to a certain extent, I love this because I work with a different dating coach, and she hit me with this is like, you can't be upset that a trout is a trout. And
so
what I
true.
mean by this is that these were the guys that in their 20s, early 20s, maybe even their teenage years, they had women just throwing themselves
Mhm.
at them. And they got to have physical intimacy without any level of commitment. They got to have their cake and eat it too. And now it's weird to do that when you're 33, 34,
Mhm.
36, 40s, 50s that I'm
Yep.
hearing now, where these guys, the system has passed them by. They are literally obsolete
Yes.
because society has moved on. And those women that pursued them earlier in their life have recognized like roller coasters are all fun and all unless you never get off the roller coaster.
And it's not, yeah, there's no novelty to it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of those, the ones that I've messaged, I think months ago I had shared with you the guy that I went on. I was like, wow, this is great. He has similar lifestyle goals. He even said that again in the letting me down. His reasoning was more sound the first time
Yeah.
around, I will say, saying, I know you have a kid, and I'm not, he was like very clear, I'm not at all saying I want to be in the kid's life.
Mm-hmm.
What I am saying though is I could see us becoming more serious because of all the alignment and like value stuff that we have,
Mm-hmm.
which eventually that conversation would
Yeah.
occur, or the integration would occur. And he's like, if I'm thinking of my own timeline, not dismissing
Mm-hmm.
mine, he's like, from my perspective, that could happen within a year or two. And I'm not ready for that parental responsibility within a year or two. And I said, thank you for being honest. However, you don't even know if we would get to that point in this fantasy if we
Mm-hmm.
don't date, because that could be the reason, or that could unfold. But we could discover in 5 to 6 months we're not compatible for some totally other reason that has nothing to do with
Mm-hmm.
parenthood status. And what you're saying you want to never start it because of is never even going to happen. So why not date in the meantime? And we were just at like a stalemate.
Yeah.
And every 2 to 3 months, I get a text or a message or whatever else. Literally last week, I don't know what's crawling out of the woodworks. And he's like, I was just looking back at pictures from our first date, like selfie or whatever. And I like your whatever he listed, and I was like, oh, this song and dance again. Didn't hear from him after that message. Like clockwork, right? Like I'm not gonna let that shit slide. And if you wanted the ability to access
Mm-hmm.
whatever kind of like, let's negotiate a dynamic, because I don't have
Mm-hmm.
every night of the month off, they still don't want that. It's the I want to have an entire cake, eat an entire cake,
Correct.
turn around and still have the cake, but only when I want it, and I expect the cake to never go bad and always taste good whenever I want it.
Mm,
And I don't breadcrumb. Like I'm
yeah.
very honest about my wants and needs, maybe not not to a detriment, I would say, but if the person is looking just for something casual or non-committal, that
Mm-hmm.
does say a lot more about their attachment style. And I do think that bespeaks this topic for today's episode. I have a theory that dating app users who are long-term or repeat offenders have, especially for men, more avoidant attachment.
Oh,
They like
absolutely.
the idea of a commitment. They like the idea of having somebody to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
But when push comes to shove, or the opportunity to actually go on a date is presented, they won't actually follow through. Whereas people who are on the apps sporadically, I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm on it for a purpose. I get in a relationship, I'm off of it. I'm in that relationship, I take time
Correct.
to heal. I'm ready to date again. I jump back in the dating pool. You could be on it every so often over the years. Those people are more securely attached, in my view, because they're using it more as a tool or a method
Correct.
by which to meet people to partner with. They're not using it to satisfy some need for external validation. And with those apps, my ex is on them. I've seen that profile.
Mm-hmm.
Lies, lies.
Lies.
It's not
Damn lies.
5-year-old photos. Like the level of potential to be duped is what
Mm-hmm.
scars me. And everybody on there is somebody's ex for the most part. Like that's just the rules with dating apps. Like somebody else didn't want that person for whatever reason, or they chose to leave
Correct.
for whatever reason. I become a detective, and then I'm like, hey there, listeners. Are you tired of settling for less than you deserve in your relationships? Do you ever feel like you're not being seen, heard, or valued the way that you want? Or maybe you've been wondering why you keep attracting the same kinds of people into your life, or why certain patterns seem to repeat themselves in your relationships. The answer might be deeper than you think, and you can find it in my new course. Rewire Your Relationships is a transformative course designed to help you stop settling for less than you deserve and start embodying your most confident, assertive, and authentic self in your relationships. You'll explore how your early experiences and parental influences have shaped your views on love, dating, and self-worth. This isn't just about tips and tricks for dating. It's about understanding the core beliefs that drive relationships that you attract. You'll learn how to break free from those old patterns and start creating the kind of connections that truly reflect who you are. Imagine stepping into a relationship with clarity and confidence, knowing you're attracting people who value and respect you for who you really are, your deeply authentic self. The Rewire Your Relationship course gives you the tools to rewrite your relationship story, one where you're no longer settling, but thriving. Visit taliabombola.com/rewire your relationships or check the link in the show notes for more.
Have you heard of the app Vouch?
Mm-mm.
So there's a new app called Vouch, and it's you vouching for a dude. Like if you're like, oh, I know there's a quality, like, no, come on, I'm gonna
It's
get
like
in
a
so much
warm
trouble.
referral, right? It's
If,
like a warm referral, though.
you know, you chicks have a bunch of friend zones. like, like you all got 3 or 4 good guys in the pocket, but you never give them a chance,
Mm-hmm.
right? You just need them in case the snow's high, the
Uh-huh.
car won't start.
Yep, yep.
So like they're in the roster of helpful handymen.
So we
Okay.
can suggest them and vouch for them to other people.
Exactly. So like if you're like, I don't want to date this guy, but this is a
Ooh,
good quality guy, you can actually put it in the vouch system, and then that way there's like a buy-in, right? Now
I like.
sure, it could be hacked, but I think that the cool thing is that the person who is seeking
Mm-hmm.
can actually send the first message to the voucher. So
You get an interview,
you
basically.
could actually be like, is this chick for real or is this a dude? Like, how does that work?
So they're basically recreating how people used to meet, which is through friends of
Yeah,
friends.
like to your point, all the dating coaches that like I either continue to consult with or I've worked for in the past, they have told me that the sweet spot is to when you sign on to Hinge, whatever it is, you look for just the new people. You just
Mm,
the new people.
that's
If
smart.
they have been there for longer than 3 months, there is a correlation at a
Yep.
decrease in satisfaction in the dating side. To
Mm-hmm.
your point, it's because it's almost like what we would call a canned hunt. And what I mean by that is it's like shooting fish in a barrel,
Got it.
right?
Okay.
Like you have these predatory individuals that do show up. They're not looking for relationships, they're
Correct.
just looking for good times.
Yep.
And they, like you said, are just perpetually on the process. Like there's actually like that's why I kind of like eHarmony. eHarmony is actually put in a thing where they will kick you off. They will let you know that you need to take a break. And I think it's actually good. I think it's good
Wow.
introspective work. Basically, from what I've been told, it's around the 18-month mark that they reach out and they say, maybe it would be time to take a
Yeah.
break,
Yeah.
recollect. Because there's also like just a burnout that happens if you've
So
been on the apps for
yep.
18 months. I think it's time for a girls' trip. It's time to go to Europe. It's time to do
Yep.
something like go catch a fish if you're a dude. Like we need some separation and then
Yep.
come back. Because at that point, you're just like, I'm looking for a pulse and maybe not a criminal record. Like, like no.
Ideally, but that are we dating the same guy group? Scarily enough, the amount of guys who are repeat offenders that are posted who have domestic violence charges, open court cases, women posting I'm just in the hospital because he beat like it's scary to be dating in today's
Mm-hmm.
socioeconomic or I guess like social economy as a woman especially, and I speak because I am a woman. I don't know the like guy's experience, but not every time a guy goes on a date is he going to have to be worried about like getting sexually assaulted or killed. From what I've talked to with single
Mm-hmm.
guys that I've even done dating coaching with, that's not like a thought that crosses their mind. And you live a blessed life if you've never had that cross your mind in
Correct.
either, camp.
Count yourself lucky.
Count yourself lucky. When you do reach that point of burnout, I do, and there's social pressure. If your friends are like, "Well, you should meet," or "I met so and so on Hinge and this and that, and I'm going to give it a try," and you see that on the prompts, like I've seen that, like my two
Mm-hmm.
friends met their wives on here, and like great. That is back also before Hinge got sold to Match.com, and they
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the algorithm and most everything now on apps is behind a paywall. It's not worth
Correct.
it. It is interesting to have it be going back to warm referrals, friend of a friend, and that it would be my preference to meet somebody to have that previous vetting have occurred because
Mm-hmm.
you never know. And that there's it was I think a few months ago that I saw this meme that dating apps that they're like I can't shake the eerie or uncomfortable realization that dating apps are connecting people who maybe never should have met in real life. Like if the only reason you
Yep.
ever cross paths sometimes was on an app, but it was when it was built differently. And
Hmm.
looking for the new people is a really good strategy. I'm actually going to adopt that in my own dating trials.
Because it also shows that we both have the same intention, right? If you're
Correct.
new and you're on this, you're
Yeah.
probably I'm looking to connect, find something,
Yes.
and pop off. If you've
Right.
been on for a long period of time, and I'm not saying, because I've also sat down with people where it's like your profile sucks. No wonder you've been here so long, right?
Yes.
Like you actually got to learn how to, as I like to say, sell yourself,
Yes.
because there is a advocate for yourself. Like I don't care what stage of life you're in. I don't care if you have kids, don't have kids, whatever.
Right. Right.
Like you have a story, you have an intrinsic value that should be coming through in your profile. It
Yes.
shouldn't
Put effort into
read
it.
it
Yes.
shouldn't read like a freaking Carfax report
Or
where
like trying to date dudes. I love grilling. I don't care. My ideal Sunday, going golfing with the boys and fish. Are you trying to find guy friends
it
or
is
more?
funny. That's
Right?
another one that's like popping out more and more is that there is a correlation of decrease in matching with people who have pictures of fish.
I would believe it. Right? Like if it's a big swordfish or something, impressive. But like I'm showing that I'm a hunter. Like this is what I can provide for you, cave woman. Like I'm just going to go to Whole Foods and buy the salmon myself, right? Like that's the era. Like this is just mismatched timing. Back in the day, that would have been like, did you see what Gronk put on his hinge for the fish that he could catch? And now women are like, I make more than
Yeah,
you. Like I don't. This is not
exactly.
impressive to me, right? Like,
We have
can
Whole Foods and batteries. Your personality better pull it through.
where's the sign of approval from your therapist that you're ready to date? That's what I want to see on this profile. Like a sign letter, like approving, right? So I think we're looking for, be honest about what you're looking for on apps for sure can prevent the ghosting, breadcrumbing, etc., and having standards not rigidly
Yes.
high where no one literally could meet them because they're based on no
No.
reality at all and only fantasy
Mm,
downwards from there, right? Like aim
correct.
for the moon, land in the stars kind of a vibe, but don't settle for like, well, at least they only have one felony, but this desperation kicks in because of the societal pressure. Oh, my friends are getting married or having kids or this milestone or this whatever. I can tell you now, dating as a parent, I used to have a great fear, which is one of the reasons why I stayed, I think, a little bit longer than I otherwise should or would have in the past, knowing now, if I knew then what I know now, there was a lot of stigma that I had internalized dating as a single parent that I
Mm,
realize is either outdated. For some people, it's still true,
correct.
right? Like I get it. Other times it's outdated. And it largely has to do with the mindset that I have. Like when I'm going on that app, that is not a part of my life that I advertise. It's not a part of my life that I share. And it's not something that would
Hmm.
ever be present unless I was serious with somebody for over a year or two. That is my standard. That is what I hold myself to. So it doesn't get in the way for me, and we're all adults, logistic scheduling wise, there's going to be finesse to that whether or not you have
Hmm.
kids. If I am dating somebody who has them, more finesse is required, but if I'm dating somebody who doesn't have them, how tolerant are you? I've weeded guys out from the beginning because we match, or I guess I unmatch it, whatever. Oh, sorry, that's too far for me, I wouldn't be willing to make the drive. I'm like, it's 30 minutes away, you're the guy and you're not willing to drive up here to make my life easier. Unmatch. That is the era
Absolutely. Like, number one, like, here's what I think is ridiculous about the dating scene is we start off with such a prioritization around convenience. Like
yes.
bullshit. I don't want to invest time if
Right.
it's just based off of convenience. But like you said, like if you're not willing to drive 30 minutes, like I need to know that day one. I don't
Yeah.
need to hear that on the 6 month in when it's like, hey, can you move closer to me? Or I'm
Yeah.
not willing to relocate. Well, we should probably had that conversation a
Yes,
little
but
bit earlier in
a
this.
lot of people, this goes back to evolutionary psychology. A lot of people hide and conceal what they
Mm-hmm.
think will have the other
Deal
person
breakers.
choose not to be with them.
Mm-hmm.
Both people are not living in a real relationship. It's being
No.
cooped in one end or the other or both. And then oh, now I have
Mm-hmm.
enough time or whatever with you. I can let all this out. It's like I would have never been with you in the first place had you said that in the beginning. Sometimes it's their strategy, right? They want to like reel you in.
Correct.
And other times they didn't think to bring it up because maybe they didn't think it would get that.
Mm,
But that ability to be like, again, I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to come off as entitled. It's more so realistically speaking, in this phase of my dating
mhm,
journey, this is what I will and won't tolerate. If that works for you,
mm,
on a date. If not, and you can send match notes now too. Same as if
yeah,
somebody approached you at a bar and or out and whatever, and you weren't
mm,
you could have a pleasant conversation. And let's say they asked you out at the end of it, you could go like, I'm actually not looking to date right now, or I'm just visiting from out of
mm,
for a long distance relationship, it would never work. Be open about those things from the beginning. I think that can also
correct.
prevent the ghosting, the breadcrumbing, and seeing the signs for what it is and not looking at, well, I can fix them, I can change them, or
Mm,
I got to catch the last chopper out of Nam. Like, I may as well make this one work. No, there's an
no.
abundance of people
If you've
available.
gotta make it work, we're already in a bad position. Like,
Correct. That's not how you want to. Then also not how you want to be in dating, right? Like, definitely not ideal in marriage if it feels like this grueling. You're probably married to the wrong person if it feels like too much work. But that's the time to make things work because you have a history and you've committed, hopefully, on the
but
basis.
that goes back. I love how you brought it up. That goes back to your vow.
Yes,
Okay, like that's
yes,
something completely different. But if
yes.
you're having to make dating work,
You don't have
you're
vows.
already screwed.
Yes, yes.
The
Talk about
marriage is doomed. Everything is
yes,
doomed. You don't need to make it work. There
yes,
has to actually be inherent buy-in from both of you.
yes,
That's the
yes,
work part. Both of
yes.
you saying, "Hey, we want to collaborate in life.
Right.
Let's find a way that we can blend
Yes,
what's beautiful about both
yep,
of us and create something together."
yes.
Yes,
Mutuality.
that's going to be a challenge, but if you're talking about obligation and making it work, like no,
Yeah.
don't do it.
It's not
Sorry.
it's not going to work long
Mm-mm.
term. I have a few premarital couples right now, not that they came in intentionally for that, but they just are they are
Mm-hmm.
not married. So by definition, premarital. And they're sussing out what feels great
Mm,
about the relationship, what might be potential deal breakers. And some of them are like, I think, work throughable topics
mm-hmm.
that just require more honest, potentially uncomfortable communication.
Mm,
And for a few others over the last like 3 to 5 years that I've worked with, there are some where I'm like, I if you were to ask me, like, no, I don't think you should, right? And then I'm like, you're going to do what you want, and please don't feel swayed by this. But the reason I say I, I wouldn't recommend it is it's like a big thing, right? Like, I want kids, I don't. You can't just get a dog and call it a compromise, or just have like legs or just a torso. Like,
mm,
one person basically is saying, I want part of my identity to include parenthood, and the other person is like, I don't want part of my identity to include parenthood. You can't really square that circle. And yes, there are certain cases in which the person who doesn't want it sacrifices for the person who does.
yep.
But I've seen those on the other end of things when they come in 20 years later and say, maybe you shouldn't have done that.
That same the same thing
Yeah.
presents differently.
Yes. Yeah. And the red flags or the deal breakers that you
Mm-hmm.
ignore in the beginning are usually what is the undoing at the end. And if this is the advice that I would give as we come
Mm-hmm.
closer to a close, more people would be willing to leave relationships if they knew for certain more of what they're wanting, maybe not every single checkbox, but majority more, or like an improvement of what they're
Mm-hmm.
wanting is guaranteed on the other side of leaving.
Mm,
That people would be, it's like the scene with the Jesus is holding like a teddy bear behind his back, like a big teddy bear, and this little girl is
yeah.
talking to him. She can't see behind, and she has a little like, please no, I want to keep it. And he's like, trust me, like, I have bigger things for you on the horizon. And whether you believe in God, universe, spirit, right, like,
The
trust
metaphor still works.
trusting that there is something more,
Mm,
deeper, bigger, whatever the fill in the blank that you're yearning for, there is fill in the blank that on the other side of being willing to let go of what isn't serving you or what you know is going to keep you playing small. And that is very true when it comes
mm,
to dating. Analyze those patterns, right? Why do I keep picking, or why do I keep attracting, right? Why am I attracted to or attractive
mm.
to avoidant people? Why am I attracted to or attractive to people who travel a lot, right? Whatever I'm thinking of people I've worked with in the last few years of
Yeah.
what themes are coming in. Like, be honest with yourself. Is some part of you, and I know for me, I still have a lot of trauma to work through, and
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
my IFS therapy. There's a part of me that believes that I will never,
Mm,
either not never find, like not the anxious attachment, I'll never find someone, that even if I find someone, because of how burned I feel, even though yes, there was some stuff I ignored that I probably shouldn't have, the sentiment still remains that that was like what ended up
mm,
coming to fruition was truly not what I expected, even with thinking about ignoring the red
yeah.
flag. You never, like, the message I still have that I'm working away from is like, you actually can't ever trust anyone ever fully. Like, and I'm
Mm,
not saying that's like gospel or 100% truth, but because that feels so true, I know that's why in my dating patterns, I'm still in this play space of somewhat of avoidance, because part of me is avoidant. Part of me doesn't trust,
absolutely.
part of me feels burned. And I am honest as much as I need to be with people I'm dating, what I'm looking for. I'm looking for
Hmm.
somebody to go to dinner with, or coffee or whatever, like have shared experiences with 2 to 3 times a month. I do not have a
Absolutely.
desire for it to escalate from there. I do not have a desire to ever cohabitate with somebody again. Like,
Mm,
this could change. I don't know. I don't want that. And I'm envious sometimes of the people who haven't been burned to the point of like, oh my gosh, and then we'll do this and we'll move in and we'll do this. I'm like, good luck. Like, I'm jaded in some ways, but I'm
hmm.
not out there lying about it. I'm open about it. If
Mm,
you are on the apps and you are newly single for whatever reason, it's okay. You don't have to be looking for, I want to get married and have kids right away. Don't match with those kinds of people. If they say on their profile, I want somebody who's walking with the Lord and is looking to get married and have kids within the next 2 years, I, even if they're hot,
mm,
that, whatever else previous me would have said yes, out of principle, I'm not going to lead them on. So I say no.
yep.
So being more intentional with your dating is easier when you know what you're wanting is out there. You cannot rush the timing. Just show up, do the work, be available for that, and be open to what could be like this or something better, and not
Hmm.
right into it just because you feel like you have to, would be my feedback.
Absolutely. My greatest takeaway is as soon as have to enters a discussion, you can already tell yourself it's the wrong idea. Like,
Yeah.
one, you're not in a position, and I mean, you do a really good job at articulating this, Talia, of um, you don't need someone, you
Correct.
want someone.
Yes.
Like, you want to have companionship, you
Mhm.
want to have connection, but I don't need it. Like, if anything, you've proven to yourself what you're capable of navigating life, single mom, doing
Yep.
all those things.
Yep.
Like, for everyone else that's listening to that, like, again, sit back, look around, and recognize what you've been able to provide for yourself, and then recognize that the conversation is not wanting someone, but who would I want to share this life with?
Yeah. I think that's such good advice for listeners as well. Like, take an honest account of how far you've come, what your purpose, right, of dating or a
Hmm.
relationship would be. And it should, I use that sparingly, it should ideally be out of, I want to be with
Correct.
you, I don't need to be with you, I love my life, which is true. I even have it on there. I'm like, I have a very fulfilling,
Mm,
successful life. I love every aspect of it. If I could find someone to share part of that with, great. If not, I'll be fine. Like, I will
absolutely.
not shed any more
I
tears
don't
over.
need you to fix my life. I
Yeah, I
want to
don't.
know if you want to, do you want to be on this journey with me?
Yeah, and if you're not adding to it, I'm not bringing you in. It has to be a value add for both people, I think, for that to actually be like a conscious, we're moving towards a relationship rather than enjoying dating. I like the pressure of not having that commitment, but if I
Hmm.
find somebody where I was like, wow, I like actually really want to be with you, that's when I would make the consideration of
Correct.
moving from dating to a relationship. So those are our summary trends. This was more. I'm glad it expanded way more than just ghosting and breadcrumbing. Those are
Hmm.
still, unfortunately, trends that are occurring,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
the reasons are what they are. If you are on the apps, be intentional, be diligent about who you're filtering through,
Mm,
and don't ghost or breadcrumb. Just be clear, like, hey, I'm not feeling the spark. Thanks so much for the date. I wish you all the
hmm.
best of luck. And then if they start mouthing off, just block them afterwards. Like, you have my
Just
permission.
beat them.
Yeah. Yeah, just be
Absolutely.
there. So thank you all for listening, as always, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Between Two Clinicians. We would so appreciate if this episode resonated with you for you to share it with somebody, and also find your favorite podcast platform and like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast. We would love to attract more listeners just like you and have this message be spread to whoever needs it. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.